Raiders players are finally starting to speak out about what it's really like playing with Fernando Mendoza. After arriving in Las Vegas with huge expectations, the rookie quarterback is already facing growing questions about his chemistry with teammates. And some of the explanations now coming from inside the locker room are catching fans completely off guard. On April 23, 2026, Fernando Mendoza heard his name called as the first overall pick in the NFL draft. He was selected by the Las Vegas Raiders, the same franchise that 19 years ago used the same pick on Jamarcus Russell. Russell signed a 6-year contract worth $68 million with $31.5 million guaranteed. He lasted 25 starts over 3 seasons and threw 18 touchdowns against 23 interceptions before being cut. The Raiders were so scarred by the experience that they didn't take a quarterback in the first round again until Mendoza, 19 years later. So when this franchise invested its first overall pick into Fernando Mendoza, it wasn't just drafting a player. It was trying to close a chapter that has haunted Raider Nation for nearly 2 decades. The franchise's record from 2003 to 2025 was 131 to 242, the second worst in the NFL during that span. They haven't won a playoff game in 23 years. The carousel of coaches, general managers, and starting quarterbacks has been relentless. And here comes Mendoza, the Heisman Trophy winner and 41 touchdowns. He arrives in Las Vegas and immediately discovers something that college football never showed him. The players around him aren't ready. The Raiders went 3-14 in 2025. Their offense scored 241 points, the worst in the NFL. Quarterback Geno Smith, the man who had been traded from Seattle to lead the team, threw an NFL-leading 17 interceptions. Head coach Pete Carroll was fired after 1 season. This was the environment Mendoza was stepping into, not a team in need of a small upgrade, a franchise in the rubble. During rookie minicamp, Mendoza himself remarked about the quality of athletes at the NFL level, and Fox Sports noted that many of those players won't even make the 53-man roster. The implication was clear. If the minicamp roster surprised him, the real NFL was going to be a different universe entirely. And the problem wasn't Mendoza's talent, it was the talent, or lack thereof, surrounding him. To understand why Raiders players can't play with Fernando Mendoza, you have to understand what the roster actually looks like. And it starts with 2 areas that matter more to a quarterback than anything else: the offensive line and the wide receivers. The 2025 Raiders fielded one of the most dysfunctional offensive lines in recent NFL memory. They ranked near the bottom of the league in pass protection and had the NFL's worst pressure rate allowed. The unit wasn't just outmatched, it was fundamentally disjointed. Reports surfaced late in the season that linemen held meetings without coaches and worked directly with Geno Smith and Ashton Janty on protections and adjustments because they had lost faith in the coaching staff. An agent for one Raiders offensive lineman told ESPN that the offensive line group met multiple times on their own, specifically without coaches present. So the quarterback and running back could discuss blocking schemes, something the agent said he had never seen before in the NFL. At the center of this catastrophe was offensive line coach Brennan Carroll, the son of head coach Pete Carroll. The nepotism accusations were immediate and persistent. Before coming to Las Vegas, Brennan Carroll's offensive line units ranked no higher than 55th in college, and in his 1 season at Washington, they ranked 48th. The results in Las Vegas were predictably dreadful. Key players went down. Left tackle Colton Miller was lost since week 4, and second-round pick Jackson Powers Johnson was also lost for the season. But the injuries only exposed deeper structural problems. The coaching staff also struggled to develop the 2025 rookie class. Despite having invested back-to-back third-round picks on guard Caleb Rogers and tackle Charles Grant, even Pete Carroll himself acknowledged the catastrophic state of the line after his firing. We got killed, Carroll said. Our offensive guys up front from the last couple of years, we got murdered. We needed to upgrade that more than we did. Carroll pointed the finger at the front office for not investing enough, while observers noted that Carroll himself chose to keep playing struggling veterans over the promising rookies until late in the year. The new regime, led by general manager John Spytek and head coach Clint Kubiak, took steps to address this. The offseason brought center Tyler Linderbaum in a significant splash move, and the return of Miller and Powers Johnson from injury was expected to provide a major boost. But 2 or 3 pieces don't rebuild a wall that was the worst in the league a year ago. The competition for the remaining starting spots remains wide open, and the unit is, at best, a work in progress. And then there's the other side of the coin, the men Mendoza is supposed to throw the ball to. ESPN identified wide receiver as the biggest roster hole for the Raiders heading into 2026. The assessment was blunt. The Raiders have wide receivers, but no one is established as a no-one option. Consider where the franchise was just a few years ago. Davante Adams, one of the top receivers in football, had been on this team. He was traded to the New York Jets, and the pick the Raiders got back was a conditional third-rounder that ended up being exactly that, a mid-round pick. Jacoby Myers, who had been a serviceable target, was also traded to Jacksonville during the 2025 season. What was left behind was a receiver room headlined by Trey Tucker, who caught 57 passes for 696 yards and 5 touchdowns in his best season. Numbers that would make him a WR2 or WR3 on a competent roster. ESPN noted that Tucker had a receiver score of just 29 out of 100. Behind Tucker, there was Dante Thornton Jr., a physical freak with blazing speed, but only 10 receptions in his rookie season. Jack Beck was in a similar developmental stage. The Raiders drafted Malik Benson out of Oregon, a well-traveled wideout who had 41 receptions for 696 yards and 6 touchdowns during the 2025 campaign. These are all projects. None of them has proven to be a consistent, reliable NFL pass catcher. The one established offensive weapon on the entire roster is tight end Brock Bowers, who ESPN acknowledged is the Raiders' de facto #1 receiver. A tight end. That's the best pass-catching option Fernando Mendoza has to work with in year one. At Indiana, Mendoza had weapons. He had Omar Cooper Jr., the man who made that toe-tap catch to beat Penn State with 36 seconds left. He had an entire offense designed around his strengths and populated with talented players who executed at a championship level. In Las Vegas, the landscape is barren in comparison. An anonymous ACC coach who competed against Mendoza at Cal didn't hold back. His receivers made plays to make him look better than he is. In the NFL, those throws are getting picked off. Whether that criticism is fair or not, it reveals an uncomfortable truth. If the Raiders' receivers can't create separation and make contested catches, Mendoza's back shoulder throws and anticipation passes become far more dangerous for the wrong reasons. It's not a question of whether Mendoza can play at this level. It's a question of whether the people around him can play with him at this level. Jim Plunkett, the former Raiders quarterback and Super Bowl champion, stated the path forward clearly. Build the offensive line. Without protection and without playmakers, even the most talented quarterback in the world can be made to look ordinary. The challenges Mendoza faces extend beyond the roster itself. There's a technical gap between what he did in college and what he's being asked to do in the NFL. That is far more significant than most people realize. Across 3 college seasons, 2 at Cal, and 1 historic campaign at Indiana, Fernando Mendoza took just 5 snaps from under center. 5. The rest of his career was spent in the shotgun formation, reading defenses from 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage, with RPOs and spread concepts that allowed him to survey the field comfortably. Clint Kubiak's offense is an entirely different animal. It is built on under-center play action, a system that requires the quarterback to take the snap directly from the center, turn his back to the defense, fake a handoff, and then deliver the ball on time. To receivers running routes based on the defensive reaction to the play fake, the timing changes. The head turn adds another layer. The footwork is fundamentally different, and all of it has to happen without disrupting the rhythm of the play. Mendoza himself described learning Kubiak's offense as a fire hose. During rookie minicamp, reporters noted he spent most of his reps working from under center. He talked about the emphasis on securing the snap, the first 2 steps, and getting out with quick feet. These are the fundamentals of a system he barely experienced in college. He's rebuilding the foundation of his mechanics at the same time. His teammates are trying to figure out their own roles in a new scheme under a new coaching staff. Off the field, Mendoza has been putting in serious time in the film room, studying tape of Kirk Cousins and Sam Darnold, 2 quarterbacks who know the Kubiak system well. He's been zeroing in on their footwork and eye movement, looking to understand how they operate within the structure of the offense. This is the right approach, but the scale of the adjustment cannot be understated. The danger Fox Sports highlighted is real. The risk of inserting a player like Mendoza into the lineup too early isn't just that he'll regress. It's that early playtime might instill bad habits. He's going from college football's best team to the NFL's worst team. The speed of the game is different. The windows are tighter. The defensive schemes are infinitely more complex. And if you compound that transition with an offensive line that can't protect, receivers who can't separate, and a system he's learning from scratch, the picture becomes very clear about why the people around him might not be equipped to play alongside him right now. That's precisely why the Raiders signed Kirk Cousins. Coach Kubiak has said that ideally, he doesn't want a rookie to start from day one, and that Mendoza would sit and learn behind Cousins in a perfect world. Cousins himself acknowledged the dynamic with a humility that stood out. "I honestly don't want to start unless I'm the best option, and I told Clint that. The best players should play, but history works against even the best laid plans." Of the 16 quarterbacks drafted at number 1 overall in the past 20 years, every single one started in his rookie season. 12 of them started in Week 1. All of the past 6 first overall quarterbacks started in Week 1. The pressure to play Mendoza will be enormous, whether the roster is ready for him or not. Through all of this, perhaps the most compelling argument for Mendoza succeeding where others would fail is the trajectory of his own life. This is not a player who was handed anything. Fernando Mendoza was born in Boston and grew up in Miami. He originally committed to Yale, the Ivy League school. It was only when another recruit flipped from Cal to UCLA that a spot opened up and Mendoza signed with California. He redshirted in 2022, then earned his first start midway through the 2023 season against Oregon State. He was a 3-star recruit from Christopher Columbus High School in Miami who was never supposed to be here. After 2 seasons at Cal, where he showed competence but not stardom, Mendoza entered the transfer portal on December 11, 2024. Cal fans called him a traitor. Mendoza himself described the experience as dark and lonely. "Very tough leaving all my friends at Cal, and it was demeaning some of the rumors and lies that were said about me." He was close to calling Georgia coach Kirby Smart to commit to the Bulldogs, but Indiana came calling. His brother Alberto was already in Bloomington, and behind the scenes, billionaire Indiana alum Mark Cuban provided the NIL money to help close the deal. What happened next was the greatest single-season transformation in modern college football history. Mendoza led Indiana to a Big Ten championship, the school's first since 1967, a perfect 16-0 season, and the program's first national championship. He completed 72% of his passes for 3,535 yards and 41 touchdowns, led the FBS in passing touchdowns, and posted an 8.0 touchdown-to-interception ratio in the college football playoff. He won the Heisman Trophy, the Walter Camp Award, the Maxwell Award, the Davey O'Brien Award, and AP College Football Player of the Year. He became only the 3rd player in the common draft era, alongside Joe Burrow and Cam Newton, to win the Heisman, a national championship, and be selected 1st overall in the ensuing draft. This is a man who has overcome adversity before. He graduated from Berkeley's Haas School of Business while playing football. His mother, Elsa, lives with multiple sclerosis. And Mendoza has raised money for MS research by creating restaurant menu items at local eateries in his college towns. He is an advocate for the National Multiple Sclerosis Society and incorporates daily mass into his game day routine. His idol, Tom Brady, who happens to be a minority owner of the Raiders. And yet, for all of that, the NFL is a team sport. No quarterback succeeds alone. Mendoza acknowledged this himself at the draft when he said, "I believe I'm still the underdog. I'm not one out of 32 quarterbacks at this moment." He knows what the road looks like. He's not expecting the throne to be handed to him, but the building around him needs to meet him partway. And right now, the Las Vegas Raiders roster is asking him to carry a weight that even the best signal callers in NFL history would struggle under. Raiders general manager John Spytek spoke about Mendoza's character after the draft. "Just a great person, raised the right way, great family. He's about the right things. It's about his team. It's about winning." Hall of Famer Tim Brown offered direct advice. "Don't try and be Tom Brady. Don't try and be Patrick Mahomes. Just be who you are." Former Raiders linebacker and current broadcast analyst Kirk Morrison, who played with Jamarcus Russell, sees the difference between then and now clearly. Just surround him with good players and he will elevate them. That's the rub. Surround him with good players. The question isn't whether Fernando Mendoza can play. He's proven that at every level he's competed at. The question is whether the Las Vegas Raiders have given him enough to work with, or whether this franchise will once again waste its most valuable asset by sending an unprepared roster to war alongside a generational talent. The roster holes at wide receiver are glaring. The offensive line is a reconstruction project. The system demands skills he's still building, and the ghost of Jamarcus Russell still lingers in the hallways of the Raiders facility. a reminder of how spectacularly things can go wrong when a number one pick is set up to fail. The Raiders players can't play with Fernando Mendoza, not because they don't want to, but because the franchise hasn't yet built a roster capable of playing alongside him. Whether that changes between now and the start of the 2026 season may determine whether Mendoza's story becomes one of redemption, or another chapter in the Raiders' long history of squandered potential. The talent is there, the character is there, the work ethic is there. Now it's on everyone else to catch up.